Right, boom, we're back. Squeeze the Neck podcast, back at Crown's Gym. I say back, I haven't done a podcast in here before, but the Johnny Fisher workshop seminar, whatever we're calling it. We're now with my new mate, Kial Wilkins.
Nice
Got
to see
it.
you guys.
He spells his name all fucked up, but you do say it properly. Thanks for coming on, mate. But he's told me it's Kyle. I don't know. It might be his pseudo name to avoid the government. I don't know. But we'll see how we go. Before we get into anything, mate, we met, as I mentioned, at the Johnny Fisher seminar, workshop, whatever we're going to call it. Who are you? What do you do?
So my name's Kial Wilkins. Obviously, as he said, I've been in Jiu Jitsu now for just over 13 years. Started when I was young, about 12 years old. I'm 25 now, black belt from Hastings. So that's kind of my life, and I've tried to make Jiu Jitsu my life as much as I can and involve myself in it as much as I can, and that's how my life's been.
Boom, and now listen, you're on Squeeze the Neck podcast, so you've made it, mate.
I've made it now.
Life's complete. They get your Wikipedia page soon. How about
Retirement party.
But you started Jiu Jitsu, I mean, you're young now, but 12 is like, you started Jiu Jitsu at a time where it was probably what, 2012?
It was 2012.
So, 2012, my maths is good, isn't it? Hey,
I'm
chill out now.
I'm a 2000 baby.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I am.
Same as me, actually. Hey.
Oh, really?
Yes, absolutely. I'm 25 too. But they, back then, because when I started Jiu-Jitsu 2014. So
okay, yeah, cool, nice, yeah.
You was a little bit before me at a time where it was still, you tell me your experience. Did you start in Hastings, by the way?
Yeah, Hastings, yeah.
So I started in London where it was even more busy. So I'm assuming when you started, it was still, not maybe weird's not the right thing, but did many people know what it was? Because when I started, it was a bit like, what's that?
So not at all. When I actually started, it wasn't actually sold as Jiu-Jitsu. It wasn't Jiu-Jitsu when I was. It was actually sold as an anti-bullying class. Was actually how it was sold. Because the instructor that was down there, he comes from the lineage goes back, but he's been in the game for a long, long time.
How did you start? What's the circumstances?
So there's a story behind this. Actually, I was in school. Actually, I just started secondary school.
What school?
William Parker School. In Hastings. It was an all-boys school as well.
Okay.
It was an all-boys school, so there was problems with that as it was. But
oh, easy now. Whoa, I know nothing.
whoa, not like that. No, but I was in year 7, so I was the youngest in the school, obviously. Playing football, we all had different flats. The year 10s and 11s had a different flat than us that we used to play on, and we used to be on the lower flat. And our ball went up to the top flat, and one of the year 10s thought he was cool, and he was keeping the ball, and I just played football, and I tackled him, and I took the ball off him, not normally, and I got it back. Anyway, he didn't like that very much, and he was a bit kook. I later found out, but he then went on to chase me for the rest of play.
Oh,
he didn't catch me.
Didn't catch you.
He didn't catch me.
Even worse.
But he kept chasing me, and it kept going, and all the kids went into lesson, and I was still running from this kid. And everyone just left me, and I was still running. Anyway, I managed to get away, got to class, but every time I saw him, he always gave me the eyes of like, I'm going to get you, sort of thing.
And just
go on.
Your year 7 is year 10. It's a big difference. When you was in year 7, did you look older, or was you one of them kids?
No, when I was in year 7, I could have been 7 years old.
Right, okay. So you weren't the man-child that you thought, I'll show you, boy.
No, I absolutely wasn't. I was... Even up until I was about 18, I could have been 12 years old. So. I've only grown the beard in the last few years, to be honest. So.
I'm about to shave mine off, so I look young again. I don't know.
I'm sure I'll get there. But I was in no position to do anything about it physically at all. I knew it was going to be bad news. I didn't know what he was going to do to me if he caught me, because I knew he was nuts as well.
Okay.
So I went to get some school uniform from a place outside of school. They sold it, and I saw next door they had a martial arts studio sort of thing, a big gym sort of going on, and I poked my head in because I saw a leaflet and it advertised anti-bullying classes, and I was
like, by yourself?
I was by myself. I was with my parents when I saw the leaflet. I saw the advertisement. I saw this anti-bullying class sort of advertised, and I was like, oh, well, let's go and poke our head in the room and just see what's going on in there, sort of thing. And I poked my head in, and Paul Bridges is my sort of head instructor, who gave me my black belt. And he was in there, we chatted to him, and he told us about it. And then I grabbed a mate next week, went along there, done this anti-bullying class, which was basically just jiu-jitsu.
In the gi or no?
It was in the gi, but obviously I didn't start in the gi. I started obviously just, as you do, coming in joggers and
like
joggers and a t-shirt. Oh yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. but it ended up being jiu-jitsu, and obviously with a mix. He comes from the old Gracie background, so there's a bit of sort of like, you know, Gracie self-defense sort of stuff in there and whatnot. That's how it was back in those days anyway. And got a gi, got training, a couple more kids joined the class, trained, and then never looked back really. And now I just do jiu-jitsu now.
Now you just doss off work and teach jiu-jitsu like the rest of us. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
What's the school called in Hastings that you started at?
It was called William Parker at the time.
Sorry, the jiu-jitsu school.
Oh, jiu-jitsu school. So at the time, it was called Dark Star, I think.
It's still there. It's not there anymore.
So it was called Dark Star, and then we changed it. We were Gracie Barra for a while, but we've that school in general has run all the way through. I've always been with the same Paul Bridge and Ali Bailey. I've always been with those two, it's kind of switched between Dark Star and Gracie Barra Hastings, and then it's gone back to Dark Star, and now we've left Gracie Barra again, and they're technically Dark Star Jiu-Jitsu Hastings again. So that's the name of the school down there now.
Yeah. So in Hastings, the reason I ask Hastings because I'm from South London, but I did about 3.5 years, my last 3.5 years of secondary school in Eastbourne, which is down the coast.
Right.
So I know a little bit. I've got
a
few friends and stuff down there. I'll get some stories about Eastbourne at some point. We're getting our dish to dirt on the Eastbourne Massive. Don't worry about that. I was that sort of part of the world, which is Bexhill recently, right? When I spoke. But Bexhill is how far from Hastings?
I mean, Bexhill is like,
up the road, right?
Yeah,
basically.
right up the road. Like it's next door.
It's next door, right? So I was there recently with Donny Dovler. Shout out Donny, great guy. And we sort of had a bit of a reminisce. I don't think we spoke much on the podcast. I found out who his brother was, and he was saying like, you know, who I knew like way back in the day when I was like,
of course, it's all connected,
14 or whatever, right? So it was like it was one of them. So it was in memory lane, but South Coast holds some fond memories to me.
Definitely.
As I've already stated, the Eastbourne Massive. But we come to that another time. But they're funny places, them little towns, aren't they?
Honestly,
you know?
things happen out of nowhere. Honestly, you think it's such a quiet place with a load of old biddies that live there, and then all of a sudden you see like a massive gang attack on the train.
It's one extreme or the other from my experience down there. Like, because again, I say like when I came from South London. I was young anyway, but it's like compared to going down there, I experienced like quickly more sort of violence and drugs and whatever in Eastbourne.
That's crazy,
and it was like. What's going on down here?
Less discreet about it.
It was mad, it was because it was, especially at the time, it was very much like, I don't know, you turn up at school, everyone would be fighting. Not that I'm trying to make it like it was a hood school, but it was like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like very, what you'd expect it to be, people pulling things out their bag, like little packets, and you're going, whoa, like you're 12, and you go, what is that? You know, anyway, but
was it an all-boys school?
No, it wasn't. No, it was mixed school. None of that in my past. Right? I don't know none of that. I think if I went to an all-boys school, I don't know. I mean, by the time you got to 14, I'd run out of things to do at school. Like, hey, that's not me saying I was some stud. But I thought I was, do you know what I mean? So that's all that counts, so don't worry about it. Listen, if I said hello to a girl and she looked in my direction, that counts. Hey, pulled that bird, pulled Linda from maths class, don't worry about that. She wants it, she's all over me, she's chasing me. Side note, anyway, but like back to martial arts. So like at 12, you start doing it, and again, in Hastings, I'm assuming it's quite rare, right? Most people don't
I mean, even in the school especially, you know, no one knows what it is, sort of thing at all. It's just a martial art. Nobody knows anything about it. It could be karate. It could be anything, right?
Right. Yeah.
It was only the emergence of, you know, the UFC becoming more mainstream. That was the only thing that started.
Well, it's interesting you say that as well. 2012 was probably the time UFC started to become more mainstream in the UK, right? From my knowledge, anyway, because that was when GSP come off a big knee injury. I remember, it was the first time I remember being able to watch a fight as it happened. Do you know what I mean? Like before that,
watching it post.
Do you know what I mean? Like I remember fights coming on in 2010. There was a particular fight. I can't remember who it was, but the main event. I mean, Jim Miller was fighting on an undercard, and I remember watching it at a certain point. And there was a big boxing fight night. It's a terrible story. I'm butchering it. Terrible story. But Jim Miller fought once in 2010. All right, apparently. So I remember watching it, but it wasn't now. It was like a few months prior. There was no way to watch it for me anyway. So that 2012 was the time I remember sort of going there, and I also remember being in the gym and like people doing jiu-jitsu with their coloured belts and things. So it was the first time it became sort of like real. Do you know what I mean? Before that, it was like, I don't need that. I'm just boxer, bro. I'll punch him in the face.
Exactly.
And that ain't got nothing for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So in Hastings, I'm assuming it was like even more so.
Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, although I would say, I mean, I was 12 at the time, so obviously I didn't have much knowledge about outside of Hastings at all. I didn't at all. But what I would say is that there was a couple of schools already kind of happening in Hastings. You know, you got Paul Bridges, who kind of headed the growth of jiu-jitsu in Hastings itself. Like, you know, he brought jiu-jitsu to Hastings.
Was he a jiu-jitsu man or an MMA
guy? Jiu-jitsu guy to begin with, as far as I'm aware. He trained in Brazil and
so pure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he'd done MMA. He had his stint in MMA and done all that sort of thing and competed in jiu-jitsu and whatnot. But he was the one that brought jiu-jitsu to Hastings. I believe he was teaching back in 2000 in Hastings as a blue belt, if I'm right there. I think, or maybe before that. I'm not even sure. It was definitely. I think it might have even been before 2000. But anyone that really teaches jiu-jitsu in Hastings at one point has kind of been under or trained with Paul Bridges, unless they've kind of come in from other places now in a way. But even at that time, when I joined in 2012, you had Paul, who had Dark Star Jiu-Jitsu and sort of Gracie Bar Hastings and all that sort of stuff going on. And then you had other schools that were already starting to emerge from people that had maybe broke off from Paul Bridges and were starting their own thing and stuff. So, you know, as a small seaside town, I would have said in 2012 there was quite a lot of jiu-jitsu going on, but no one knew about it, right? Other than the people that are in jiu-jitsu, obviously, nobody understands what it is. Nobody knows what's going on, and it's a completely alien thing, right? So, and that's kind of how that grew. But even me, to be honest, when I started as anti-bullying, even I didn't know it was really jiu-jitsu yet. And the belt system, obviously, for kids is a lot different, right? And everything's a lot different. And I'm 12 years old, and there's not a lot of media in jiu-jitsu at the time either. So I'm just practicing something that's fun, basically, at that time, because there's not a lot for me to get my hands on to watch. There's no big media in jiu-jitsu, is there? So I'm just doing it, and I'm even going to school, not really still understanding exactly what it is I'm doing.
Really? Yeah. So, was you going to school like rolling your shoulders about now, like you're the top dog? Or was you like, I can bash everyone up because I'm a jiu-jitsu guy and you don't know nothing?
Not at all. Not at all. I was still only about 30 kilos, right? So
the kids still chasing around the playground. I didn't mean it. Yeah.
Well, to continue on to that story, if you like, what basically happened there in the end was I started learning, and I continued to avoid this guy as much as
Sorry,
possible.
I got a butt in at this point.
Oh,
Please tell me this story ends with you rear naked choking him on the playground.
Unfortunately, it doesn't, mate.
I mean, for me, the story's ruined.
Although I thought the story was going to end there at some point when I was a bit older. I actually did. So the story ended. I got on well with everyone. I was a very good kid in school. Boring, but I was a good kid. My PE teacher at the time was the head of year for him. Okay. He was his head of year, and I found that out. And I went to my PE teacher, who I got on with very well at the time, and I said, "Look, this is going on. Help me out."
Oh, you was the snitch kid.
And it stopped instantly.
You was the snitch kid.
I had to be. I was 30 kilos, man.
Oh, no. I wanted to tell a heaper to fucking rubber guard story. Not well, I went and told the teacher. Come on, bro. What's going on around here?
Mate,
do you know I'm not going to ask you his name, but do you know the kid's name?
Oh, yeah, it's the first name. I can't remember the second.
We'll call him Screwy Louie for the sake of the podcast, so we don't at him. But is he still around? You still in touch with him might be the wrong word, but
so this is where I thought the story was going to end with something else, right? So I don't know the kid at all now. I don't go to Hastings. You know, he's a lot older than me. I would never really see him around. Hastings got loads of people in it, right? So, but when I was a bit older, so I was probably leaving school, maybe 16, 17 sort of thing. So I've been training for a while now, right? I was a blue, maybe purple belt, right? And a bit bigger, not bigger, but probably about 50 kilos now.
Right? Oh, right. He's a unit of geezer.
Exactly, yeah. But we went to play football at one of the AstroTurfs in Hastings, and there was a couple of us that went, and I saw him in there, and my belly just dropped. I was like, shit, we're not in school anymore.
Oh yeah, I was like,
we're not in school anymore. No one's controlling this kid anymore. Like, is he going to recognise me? Is he going to know? Because we're going in to play football the other side of this AstroTurf.
Did you have cauliflower ears at this point?
No, I didn't actually. Okay. I didn't have an ear at this point. No, I didn't. No. Anyway, that story ends also really boring because I don't think he recognised me. We just continued as normal. But there was a second when we were heading in that I was like, this could end as a really cool story, but I'm not going to start anything because it's not worth it.
But it kind of is worth it,
no? It may be for the story. It might have been worth it on the deathbed, right? It's right. Yeah, this kid, I got him once.
Right, yeah, exactly. We all got them kind of stories, right?
No, it didn't happen that way. So Anyway, I'm alive and kicking. That's all I care about.
Not the ending I wanted, guys. I did push him. Him for it.
Oh dear. He could. I mean, knowing this kid, he could have had anything on him.
Is he not? He's not well.
I don't think he was quite well.
Because this might be a South Coast thing too. Not that I'm trying to tarnish the South Coast, but my school in Eastbourne, there was definitely a few screwy Louis in there, older and younger. To be fair, that was like something not quite right with that kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like maybe that was the lay of the land back then as well. That was sort of like nowadays. I'm sure they'd be given more of the help they need, if you like, for lack of a better term. But back in the day, it was like, he's mad, fuck him. Do you know what I mean?
I think so, yeah. I think you're right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was a bit like, he's all right, just leave him alone.
I think that was pretty much it, and it was the case. And obviously as well now, you get different kids like that, and get pulled out and put into different places, don't they? They get put into a different place in the school where they're looked after differently, or they get put into a different school entirely, sort of thing. But yeah, like you say, back then it was kind of like just chuck them in and
it was
they'll deal with it. Sort of thing.
Well, I had a conversation about a particular, we call it a Screwy Louis in my school, with one of my mates a couple of years ago that we was talking back. And it's like, you look back and you go like, bless him, he didn't have a chance. It ain't his fault, is it? Like, everyone's, just offs him as the mental kid, which, it's got to be different now, isn't it? Times, but not that I'm a dinosaur. Anyway, I'm still young and beautiful.
Back in my day.
Do you know what I mean? Whoa, easy now. I didn't go to an all-boys school. I just want to make that clear. But like going forward from leaving school, did you go to university or anything like that?
I didn't. No, I didn't do that. I did college, like sixth form, and then just came out basically.
Right, because the reason I ask is because that's time to get a job and stuff like that. Was jiu-jitsu your path at that point? Was you like, I'm going to be a strangler?
Immediately, actually, it was before I even left. Before I even left secondary school, so I was probably about 15. I was 15 when I started coaching. I just was helping in the kids' class.
Right, not men. You're not coaching men at 15.
No. Actually. So at that time, we were Grace Barr at that time, and Grace Barr had a certification, right? Which we later come on to know is, got its own stories behind it, but we'll leave that aside. I was 15 years old, right?
All boys school, we'll leave that alone.
Gracie Barr. I was tarnished. I'm trying to recover from all boys school and Gracie Barr, basically.
Well, I just want to say, when I showed up, he was crying in the corner, right, to rub his belly for him. He's all right. It took about 5 minutes.
Yeah, we had this certification. I think I was probably, maybe it was 16 by the time we were doing the certification. But for that certification, I had to teach a kids class entirely, and which I'd had experience in already doing bits and bobs, but I had to teach a room full of adults as well for the certification. And I was 16 years old, been in the game for a few times, but I was a real frail 16-year-old.
Was you blue belt?
Blue belt.
You was already immediately, so you had some authority.
Immediately when I was 16, sort of my next grading was blue. From yellow and black belt.
But that's hard, isn't it? That's hard to do, because I tell you my experience. Like when I was a white belt and I was probably, I'm in my 20s, right? 24, I suppose.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a kid who just got, his dad was a black belt and he just got his blue belt at 16. Yeah. And he was similar sort of frame to me, but he was, I'm a man, he's a boy sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Now, like we rolled and like, I'm a white belt, so it's like, I can't let this little kid turn me over. Do you know what I mean? So I remember thinking like, I'm up against it here because he's better than me, but at the same time, I'm not having that, so I've got to kind of body slam him. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm white belt, so I'm not going to let him kill me in front of people. So it's hard to do, is what I'm saying. 100%. Do you know what I mean?
And like I say, I was tiny. I was still only about 55 kilos, probably not even. So, and size makes a difference in jiu-jitsu. We all know that. So yeah, absolutely fresh blue belt. The only saving grace for me is that I had already been training with the adults since I was about 13 anyway, because there wasn't a lot of kids in the kids class, and a lot of them were younger because it wasn't a big sport. So I'd already been going into the adults. They all knew who I was. I've been training a lot, so even when I got my blue, it was still very supportive, and that I was obviously small. Everyone was still helping me to grow in a sense and whatnot. Even though everyone kind of knew that technically. Growing up as a kid, everyone calls the kid that's been in it a long time, they're like known as you better watch out for this one. When he's older, he's going to get you, sort of thing. Right. So everyone was super nice and super kind. But yeah, in a room full of, I had a bit of authority as a blue belt sort of thing. But even teaching in that room for the certification, I was teaching purple belts and brown belts and other people in the room who were there. And that was terrifying at the time, sort of thing. But it also led me on to know at that point already at 16 years old, I'm teaching jiu-jitsu. Like I'm going into jiu-jitsu. This is where I'm going, sort of thing. as soon as I left secondary school and I had college, I'd try and take the moments I could to go and train in the morning if I could, and sort of, you know, bunk out of college a little bit if I didn't have a lesson, and go and do some more jiu-jitsu and training. I was still teaching the kids or coaching in the kids' classes in the evenings.
Which ain't easy, by the way. From my experience, coaching kids is harder than coaching adults, because at least adults, you know, they want to be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
whereas kids, it's like
yeah.
at a certain age, like if you say under 12, like some of them do really want to be there. Exactly. And I had a funny experience. I won't say the gym. I covered a class in a gym in London, and it was like 4 kids, right? So it's very new class, it was in a gym, blah, blah. But 2 of the kids was into it, and one of them, young girl, was, I think they're about 9, right? Okay, and she's like, couldn't ask me enough questions, like to the point where I had to say, it's a good question, just let me show the technique, and then I'll answer it, you know? Because she was like, this, which is great, but then there's 2 other kids who, again, about the same sort of age. If you're me, they're like that. Couldn't care any less. I could have been, you know what I mean? I could have been just like the punch bag in the corner. They paid me no attention. And their dad is sitting on the side, like looking at his phone. And you know when you're like, what's going on here? They got no interest. So it's hard anyway.
Oh, of course, absolutely is. And I mean, when at the point where I started teaching kids, it was all lumped into the same age group as well. Like it was just one age group of kids, because obviously it was back in 2014. It's still not known, right? So you had literally like me, before I started sort of coaching as like a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, and then, you know, 5-year-olds in the class too, right? And that's hard, but in a sense back then, that's kind of what you had to do if you wanted to run kids classes, because otherwise you'd have just had 2 kids from every age group, or 1 kid from every age group, and you needed a class of, if you want a class of 10 kids, you had to lump them all together, sort of thing. Right. But yeah, through college, different kids' classes getting added, started to get added, you know, splitting the age groups up, so started coaching a bit more. And then as soon as I left college, I was working in a leisure centre at the time as well. I was doing a bit of that sort of other work sort of thing.
What's the leisure centre?
So it was Freedom Leisure at the time, which was down in the south.
Okay. It's not the Lagoon. The Lagoon's around that part. Do you know the Lagoon?
No, I don't know the Lagoon.
The Lagoon was somewhere around that. I don't know exactly where that is. Someone from that sort of region might help me. It was. I don't think it was. It was like one of them places that, you know, like you'd go from Eastbourne, it had a wave machine and things.
Oh, that sounds like, pretty, man.
It was like, I think it was from my memory, it was towards Hastings. But again, I was young, so I might be wrong. But they, anyway, side note.
No, that's right.
Going down memory lane today.
In
my day,
reminiscing.
If I start crying, we'll cut it. We'll cut it.
But as soon as I left college, I basically just like went into jiu-jitsu. I was when I wasn't working, which I was only part-time at the leisure centre, I was just training morning, evening, weights during the day, kids classes before the evening classes. I was just doing a lot. I was doing everything. I was, you know, turned 18. I wasn't really, I was doing a little bit of like partying sort of thing, but really not a lot in comparison to most people. I was like, no, I've got training at 9 in the morning. I can't go out. I can't do this. I was turning away, you know, social opportunities left and right just to train.
Turning women down left and right.
Yeah,
every time all these women were coming at you, he was like, nah.
In a funny kind of way, literally, I had no interest at the time. Really, I was like, I've got no time for a girlfriend. I'm training.
Right.
I was that kid.
I was that kid.
I was organising my pens like that. I was.
Nightmare. Jesus Christ. I might kibosh this one. We'll see.
No, I was that kid. I was on it, sort of thing.
And was it always jiu-jitsu? Was there any sort of desire for MMA at a certain point?
Not at all. Not at all. I think because I was like realistically, like telling the truth, I'm a softie. I'm a proper softie. I was never interested in fighting beforehand. I was in gymnastics and swimming and, you know, all badminton, you know, all of those sports is what I was doing before. And even the gymnastics, it was very dancey gymnastics as well. It wasn't like I'm competing, I'm going to win.
Oh, was you?
It was more like I'm just enjoying it, sort of thing.
I've got to be honest, at this point, I'm kind of on Screwy Louis' side. I'd have changed to no, fuck it. Fucking no. I'd have sat around with the boys and been like, listen, we've got to get rid of this kid.
This kid needs to set
straight. He walks around in a gi and he's doing rhythmic gymnastics. Let's off him.
Yeah, no, so the jiu-jitsu was a big turn left for me. But no, I'm not interested, still not particularly interested, although a little bit more as I'm getting older, but I wouldn't still say I'm interested in getting punched in the face.
Well, you said the other day when I met you at the boxing, it was the first time you'd ever boxed, right?
First time I ever boxed the other day, yeah. I've never done anything before. I've done a tad of Muay Thai, and we had this grapple and strike class that we used to do in Hastings and stuff, where, you know, we'd put on some sort of like MMA glove sort of things and tap each other up a bit.
Because when you put your boxing gloves on, you put them on your feet at one point, right? To come over,
exactly,
come over and go, no,
I was trying to wear them as high heels.
Listen. He got a lipstick at it. It was really strange. I don't know what was going on. Where have I come? But no,
that's what this boy school used to do.
Yeah, exactly. Hey. But no, it's funny you say that because like with you going into, again, going to them small towns and stuff, like I remember being in there and there was like the kid that done Muay Thai. And they're like, they've almost got like, I don't know how to describe it, but you know, it's like in them small sort of seaside towns, there's like, oh, he does Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Was you the gi guy that, oh, watch out, he does Kung Fu?
Well, at the beginning, no, obviously, but I got on with everyone in my year very well. Even the kids that wanted trouble, I knew them, I got on with them. Right. I was that kid that was kind of, I was cool with everyone sort of thing.
Because they knew you was going to go and teach them, grass them up, right?
Exactly.
Keep you on the side and grass you up, yeah.
No, I just generally got on with everyone, but by the time I was sort of like so I started in year 7 or 8 or something, it was, whatever it was, and then by like year 9, when I'd been in Jiu Jitsu a couple of years, funnily enough, even though I probably would have still had trouble with a few of the bigger kids, because I've only been in it a couple of years, I'm tiny.
Yeah, right.
Everyone was like, you know, we leave him alone because he does. Oh, that kid does jiu-jitsu. That kid does jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
They started to know
respect because he
respect
does something.
it in a way, sort of thing. So, but on top of that, I don't think there would have been much problems anyway because I wasn't looking for any trouble, sort of thing. So, but like it did help in a way that, you know, and it helped personally too. Like, you know, there were a couple of instances where there were still people in the year that didn't give a shit and they wanted trouble for some reason of what day, and to be honest, it changed in a matter of years from me sort of being the kid who's going to, like, you know, hide behind someone and run away to the kid who I will stand tall now. I'll stand tall. Like, this is what I'm training for now, sort of thing. And so that helps itself, doesn't it? When you stand there almost ready to go, respect, man. Respect.
Yeah.
Cool, I'll leave you alone.
Again, little towns, again, from my experience, there's a lot of cowards too, isn't there? There's a lot of sort of like rolling the shoulders around and like thinking they're man. And one thing I experienced, like when I went down there, I had a funny accent too, right? So like, that gave me a bit of a wide berth as well, and like almost like a mystique. And like there was a kid, I won't say what country he's from, but he was from a certain country, right? And like the other kids went, oh, he's from such and such. He must be hard, we'll leave him alone. And you know when you're looking at it going like, makes no sense whatsoever. Makes no sense. He's a soft kid. Like, but do you know what I'm saying?
Because you don't understand what he's saying.
Because he's from a certain place and he's got a mystical accent, people are going like, oh, whoa, maybe he can throw hands, you know, and there's a little bit of that going on down there. But
that's
like where I was going to school in Eastbourne and stuff, there was, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, there's a Muay Thai gym called Asterix at the time.
No, I didn't know
so it was like, McLean was the coach's name. I've had someone else knew him on it once before. I think maybe Danny McLean, if I'm butchering it, whatever. But I was really young when I started going there. I was probably 11, and I did a little bit at a couple of internet clubs and whatnot. Yeah. Very young, very young. I might have even been 10 actually, because I don't think I was old enough to fight. And you had to be 11. Doesn't really matter. But I remember going in there, and there was some. I didn't start the school yet because where I've moved areas, I couldn't get in a school straight away. I had a bit of time to whatever. Course, So I started the next year. I was going into late. Okay. So when I've gone there, I knew a few people from there. But it was really, like, you know what it's like when you're young, people are a bit standoffish. Yeah. So you like, you know, you've looked at them, they've seen you from the Muay Thai gym, and you look at them, they look at you, but you look away. It's like, I know you, but I can't. I don't know you. Especially when you're in different years. And like there was, I won't get close to the mark, but I was like, say I was year 7 or 8 or whatever I was. The instructor's daughter went to Muay Thai.
Okay. Yeah.
Now she might have been quite easy on the eye. We'll leave it there. Hey. Now, when you're 11, 12, and there's a good-looking girl who's a year and a half, 2 years older than you, I mean, like, you know when you catch eyes in the corridor, again, like going back to, I know you from Muay Thai, whoa! Yeah, exactly right. I'm not shy, shut up. And you're telling your silly little mates, like, I know, we do Thai together. You're walking towards her, they're like, that's our win. He'll talk to her. Like, you walk up and you go, see, I told you I know her.
Exactly,
Anyway, but the good experiences from them times, and like with the small town vibe. As football's everything in England anyway, right? Everyone plays football. Yeah. But then when you've got these people that do like a little side gig, if you like, it does carry weight. So I'm assuming that like as you got to sort of like 16, 17 and whatever, and now you're teaching and now you're going to be the guy, your life's easy at school, yeah?
Oh, for sure, yeah, definitely by that point. Although it was interesting, the interesting thing is in college, even at sort of like 2017, 18, you know, even by that point, and I was in sixth form now, there was some bigger kids, or bigger teenagers at that point in the school that I'd known for years, and even they would be like, you know, oh, Kyle does jiu-jitsu, and then, you know, there'd be a conversation about, oh, do you reckon do you reckon you could beat Adam up, sort of thing, or whatever it is, right? And you just sit there, obviously, you know, been in martial arts for a while, you just sit there like, I'm not entertaining this conversation at all. Yeah. But Adam reckons he'll be all right, sort of thing, and you're like, well...
Bring Adam over.
If Adam wants something like that, Adam can think that, sort of thing. Right. So, but again, it's purely because it's jiu-jitsu. And they haven't got a clue what it is. No. They haven't got no idea what it is.
And that's a good point as well, because striking arts, at least people somewhat know what they're dealing with. Not that they're any good at it, and but they can kind of, they've watched Rocky, they can kind of compute what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like jiu-jitsu's like, it's like that mystical thing again, isn't it? Like, it's from Brazil. Where's it? He knows something we don't, boys. You know what I mean? And like, I tell you what I relate to when I said like certain people are thinking. There was a kid in our school, and he was like, he looked a lot older than he was. He was very developed, and I think his dad had got him into weightlifting. Anyone who went to my school knows what I'm talking about. But raging pussy, this kid, right? But like, he had big muscles, and like, you know, when you're 14 and he's 14,
that means a lot.
He looks 18. He's got spots. He's got a beard. You know, he's walking about with his muscles out. But he got flung. I'll keep this quite vague. Someone flung him on his head in ICT class once. Someone. I
wonder who that was.
I know nothing.
I don't know who it was.
But like, couldn't fight, right? But he was like, but anyway, point being is we had another kid in our class who was a man-child, lunatic kid, and anyone will definitely know what I mean. He was like, when we was in year 8, like year 11s would give him a wide berth. This kid was nuts, right? This kid was like, you know, big, hard, lunatic kid. But the reason I bring it up, I've sounded like a school kid here, don't I? But you had the big muscle head, and you had this kid, and they were sort of like, people were going, who do you think would win the fight? After this incident, no one, everyone was like, he's fucking useless. I nearly said the other kid's name, but we call him John for sake of argument. John would definitely do him now. And like, he went, like, we call him John and Chris. Their names aren't John and Chris, but Chris Musclehead would like walk down a corridor and like everything changed. You know what I mean? Like mystique over. So do jiu-jitsu instead of lifting weights, kids. When you've left school now and it's full time, what's that like? Are you sort of like at the dojo all day, every day, learning and getting better like no end?
Pretty much, yeah. I was literally I was training morning, weights midday, evening kids, and you know, and adult classes continuing on every class. Like I was part of the furniture in that gym. I was there all the time. I still had some work going on with the legislative and stuff, but again, that was still just little and often, few in between. After the to say this quickly, I mean, as well, it was one of those things as well where I was competing a bit during my coloured belts as well. I was trying to compete, I was pushing the competition, but like I said, I've never been that sort of, I've never been a fighter kid. You know, I was a gymnast sort of thing. I wasn't even competitive in the gymnastics. So
you used to paint your nails or no? Too much?
Mate, if only,
I'm joking, bro!
Only if I can find a pretty colour. No, I'm joking.
Just went down a real rabbit hole. The correct answer to that was no, don't be stupid. You went, well, you know, hey, no, red, I like red.
I'm kidding. But,
me too.
No, but I mean, I was even the competition. I was forcing the competition. I was forcing myself to compete for the sake of, you know, I've got to compete.
And is this adult classes now?
Adult classes belts now. Yeah, this is purple belt really. This is
serious.
Purple belt days.
Listen, for anyone who doesn't know, because on like some people just boxing fans or whatever. Once you get to purple belt in jiu-jitsu, it's like serious, right? This is like you're on the doorstep now of making it all the way to black, and it's like whatever, right? Because blue belt, not that I'm diminishing it, but blue belt is, you know, in fact, the opposite. But blue belt's a wide pull. Like for someone, example, I've said this on it before. I was a blue belt for over 5 years. So like, forget how good I was or wasn't. 5 years of constant training, you can imagine the growth in it. So it's essentially 2 or even 3 belts in one for blue belt, right? When you get to purple belt and you're competing against men, hey.
It's very much the stepping stone from beginner to advanced, isn't it? Blue belt. It literally is. And bearing in mind as well, I'm a small kid again, right? So I'm in probably 60 kilos as a purple belt sort of thing. And I'm trying to compete as much as I can. I'm doing as much as I can competitive wise, but I'm forcing it because I really just want to teach. I just want to train and teach.
So there's no view to being a world champion or any of that kind of stuff?
It was more to be honest, it was more the thing of, I don't want to do myself out of it happening, right? So I was like, I'm not a competitive person at all, but I could be technical enough that I could still do really well. And what I don't want to do is get to 25 and have not done anything, sort of thing, and then I have to start from there, and it's a lot trickier and stuff like that. So I was just trying to compete as much as I can. Yeah, there's a little story here actually, which is what boosted me on to do it even more, which was I was 18-year-old purple belt at the time, tiny kid, you know, always getting pushed up the weight divisions because there's no one in my division sort of thing. So always fighting bigger people, 75, 80 kilo divisions sort of thing.
That's
basically
huge,
just constantly doing absolutes basically, right?
Right.
And entering into the absolutes as well, might I say, at about that weight, so that I can just get matches basically.
Which is mental, like listen, 60 kilos to 75 is such a massive fucking gap. Because again, 75, listen, there's people, maybe not in Jiu Jitsu as much, but certainly in other martial arts, like people that are competing at sort of around 75 can be easily 90 kilos and cutting.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, do you know what I mean? These are big men.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I was doing all I could as well. I was drinking mass gainer. I was doing a lot to try and do something. We weren't budging an inch, by the way. But I entered into this. I had middle success. You know, some great stuff, some just terrible stuff, and you know whatever it was, what it was. And I'd had a terrible day competing one day. Just lost everything. Nothing too crazy, you know, losing on points and whatnot. And then I had the absolute bracket, and it was BJJ 24/7. So they do purple, brown, black, right? And so my first match of the absolute was a like 80 to 85 kilo black belt. And to be honest, I was like, well, I've got absolutely nothing to lose. I've got nothing on my shoulders. And I came out with a decision win.
Did you?
I came out with a decision win. And it was a bit of a funny one because he kicked off big time, shouting, swearing, pointing at the lot, shouting at the referee, hitting lockers, swearing everywhere, on the mat, right? And my mates were all recording everything. And it got 250,000 views. Yeah. And it got 250,000 views, and it became massive. And I got like a proper big boost from it. Yeah. Even though it was a decision win, I felt like yeah, this is it. This is my big break, sort of thing, right? And it got massive views. Like the guys in the gym were like, "We'll call you the Slayer. You slayed the black belt," sort of thing. And I was like, "Yeah, this is it." And from then onwards, I started to build a bit more confidence in competition.
What you should have done is gone straight from there to a tattoo parlour and got a neck tat. And started fucking like, you know what I mean?
A face tat.
You know what I mean? Like a couple of teardrops or something. Exactly, can't tell me nothing. Yeah. But it's funny, like that's hard. Like, who's the pressure on? By the way, if you're a purple belt and you're 60 kilos and you're against a big black belt, pressure's on him. It ain't easy.
And I could tell during the match as well because I started the match and I pulled, obviously, pulled guard. Clearly. Exactly, yeah. I berimboloed him immediately and took top position. And I immediately, after he'd done that, the referee reset us because we went off the mat a little bit and I saw his face was already well flustered. Yeah, right. And I was like, I've just got to weather this storm.
Well, because listen, unless he goes out there and quickly chokes you within seconds, it don't look great for him anyway. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like even if you beat you on points, you got that decision. He should have more than that. You got a points decision against Gizu who's 2 belts down from you and 25 kilos lighter. Well done. You know what I mean? It's hard work, isn't it? And not that that's the way to look at it, because listen, to beat you's still difficult. Listen, the purple belt is tricky. Of course, it's difficult, but it's pressure's on him, innit? Do you know what I mean? Big time. And you know what it's like when you start stressing. Like if there's someone on the mat and you're trying to stress and go, as soon as you settle down as a higher belt and get to your game, everything becomes easy, doesn't it? Now, I'm oversimplifying it. I'm not sitting here like I'm trying to pretend I'm a 3-time ADCC champion. But like we've all been on the mats where it's like, I've got to tap him now. As soon as you go, listen, just play the game. You can let him take you back and then you'll figure it out, right?
Absolutely,
Whereas if you're hunting a certain position, he's going to avoid it and whatever. And like, in competition, that can be overly done because now people are watching. He's filming it. I'm slamming lockers. You know, it all goes downhill fast.
Exactly. I mean, this is one of the major challenges as a lower belt, isn't it? It's trying to relax and play the game. And if you're even if you're a black belt and you've been in the game for 15 years and you regress and you don't relax, you just regress yourself. That's all you do, right? You just that's all that happens. So so that was the kicker. Yeah. And then from there, I started to take it a bit more, and when I went on to late purple belt, I sort of started to go into no-gi. I started to get invited on some shows and different bits like that, and that's when it started to pick up a bit of steam. But yeah, that's kind of what's happened over the last.
And what age did you get your black belt?
So I was 23 when I got my black belt.
Right. So young. You're probably one of the youngest in the UK, weren't you?
I probably was one of the youngest, and I definitely would. I mean, anyone can say this, right? But I definitely would have been one of the youngest.
Yeah.
Without COVID.
Would you?
COVID held me back because I was a brown belt. I got my brown belt during sort of the first bit of COVID sort of thing.
Right. Okay.
In 21, I think.
Okay.
And so I was young, but that was one of the major tricky things, even growing up through the lower belts, and was no one was my age. You know, in competition there was nobody my age at my belt. I wasn't finding anyone. So, yeah, I mean, that's one thing I'm proud of. But at the same time, you know, it's it's one of those things with the black belt, isn't it? It doesn't really matter. Like when you get to your black belt, you kind of go, well, is it about what's tied around my waist, or is it about what I can actually do on the mat, sort of thing? And that's where you have that sort of realization, whether you have it earlier than black belt, which I kind of did, or whether you have it when you get your black belt and you go, well, you know, people say this thing, don't they? Oh, I felt like I started again when I got my black belt, sort of thing, you know. So,
all right, mate.
Whatever, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it is interesting because. Yeah, black belt is kind of like, I think, especially like when you get your blue belt, from my experience, when you get a blue belt, you're like, oh, come on, like this is so big. Not realising you're years and years and years away, but do you know what I'm saying? Like at that point, it's like, it's important, but you do hear that a lot of people get to sort of like, they've been brown belt for a while, and they kind of go, not that important now. But then a part of me goes, oh, you're just playing it down because you're not a black belt yet. You know what I'm saying? Like a part of me goes like, it's important, it is important, right? It is important, but I do get both ways, because when I was a blue belt, I mentioned it probably every episode on here, Lubo Kumbrov, wrestler, who really changed my game from blue belt, which is why I spat on the ground when you said Paul Carter. I would never do such a thing. Never dishonour me. But like he like changed my game massively and blah, blah. And he said to me, like, it's about effectiveness, basically, you know, not in so many words, but and I believe, like, we've all been at places where it's like you're a lower belt than someone and you tap a higher belt. Like, which way round would you rather be?
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And listen, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean you're better than that higher belt. You can get caught, can't you? Of course. But there's elements of like effectiveness has to go, because I had this chat recently with Danny Mitchell. Shout out Danny Mitchell, former UFC fighter, 3rd degree black belt, and he's fights Valley Tudo now, complete lunatic. I can't wait to get out there, Dre. Like, should have seen the glint in his eye when he was explaining the first time he headbutted someone. Check out that episode. But he's any rules, I'll take anyone. I'll butcher it his episode, but great guy. I can't wait to train with him. But talking about effectiveness, and he was talking about the dilemma he's got in terms of like grading people. Yeah. So, and it'd be interesting to hear your opinion too, because like, for example, if you go extreme, some people might have been on the mat for 15 years, still a blue belt, but their level hasn't got to the next stage. Now, my view on this is quite cutthroat in terms of still a blue belt then, that's it. Yeah. Simple as that. You can't water down the sport. Whereas some people will go, I kind of got to give them the belt. Like, what do you think about that?
So, I've come from Hastings, especially, where it's a very hobbyist culture, right? London's quite a competitive, young culture. Hastings is a very hobbyist, older family culture, right? Okay. There are obviously people who love to compete, but even that's on just a recreational level sort of thing, really. My opinion on it is there's kind of three, like if we talk about a black belt, right, there's kind of three types of black belt in a way. There's a hobbyist black belt, there's a competitive black belt, and there's a coach black belt. Okay. And the way I kind of feel like I'm going to go into it, because I haven't had to have a lot of experience grading people yet, really. This is the first time I've been a head instructor in this gym. It's been open 3 months, right? So I haven't graded anyone yet, really.
But I'm going to come down next week. You're going to give me my coral belt, right?
Exactly. That's how it's going to work. As long as the money's good.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Put it there.
Yeah, because like this is the thing. You've got some guys, you know that I know of that have been training for like sort of 15 years or more, and it gets to that point where you go, well, how can this guy be training for 15 years consistently and not be a black belt?
It's stupid.
But at the same time, this 20-year-old blue belt can give him a lot of troubles. Right. And you go, like, man, what do you? I completely agree. What do you do? Yeah. And then you've got the gi and no gi problem as well, right? Where you've got like, oh, he only trains no gi. Mm-hmm. Oh, so do you grade him or do you not grade him?
Yeah.
Does he ever wear a gi? Yeah. Because he's brown belt level in no gi, but he's still got a white belt around his waist. Right. Like, what do we do? So my take on it is, really, when it comes to grading, I'll grade on your on your technical knowledge and your ability to apply it.
Right.
Not necessarily your performance in terms of can you tap this guy, but in the heat of the moment when you're rolling and when you're drilling and when things are live, how can you transfer the clear technical on paper knowledge of how jiu-jitsu works in physics sort of thing, and how can you apply that to a stress tested situation?
Yeah.
Not necessarily can you tap the blue belt in 10 minutes or can the blue belt not score on you in 5 minutes? Because obviously if you're 50 years old or you're just training once a week for fun and the 20-year-old is coming 2 times a day and lifting weights and he's, you know, like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect the kid to probably get a few points.
Yeah.
So that's my take on the grading, really.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, I agree because ultimately effectiveness has got to count, right? Now, like you touched on there, he hasn't got to tap the blue belt in 2 minutes, but at the same time, he should be able to be safe, right? So if you've got a black belt on the mat, within reason, I'm not talking about someone who's 75 and can't walk properly.
Of course,
I'm talking about, you know, let's say 50 is a good example.
Still able,
55, 60 even, if you looked after yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You shouldn't be coming in and getting tapped 5 times in a round by a blue belt ever. That's not acceptable in my eyes. Do you see what I mean? Whereas you might not tap him anymore because he's 100 kilos and you're 50.
Yeah.
Not 50 is extreme, but you know, like
maybe.
But like let's go realistic. You're 70 kilos. He's 100 kilos. He trains every day. You train 3 times a week now. Yeah. There should be an element that you can still tell he's a black. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas like it shouldn't be, because I think if you've been there long enough, in terms of you've been there many years, I can understand the coach giving him a blue belt just out of like, you know, you've been here 8 years and you're still not improving, right? Is a blue belt for you. That's different. But above that is where I get an issue. And again, I'm not going to tell this purple belt story, guys. I've told it a million times, but just long story short, purple belt was on a mat. There was 7 purple belts. We're all 6 of us felt like purple belts hard rounds. 1 was like nowhere near the level. I wouldn't have given him a blue belt, right? So that to me is where I go, that shouldn't be the case, because then what happens is you become one of these other goofy martial arts where it's like, it doesn't work in a fight anymore. And like that guy turns into a brown belt, turns into a black belt, then he's got a few black belts on his mat, and they all suck, and you're going like, well, there's a judo guy who came down, or a karate guy who came down. Karate probably better because it's not grappling, and he's like, he's fit, he's athletic, and he's strong, and he's having a good roll with you. That can never be the case to me. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, it's just waters it down completely.
Does completely, and over the generations that goes, because then, like if we fast forward 20 years, it's like now jiu-jitsu becomes a fad, doesn't it? And it becomes like what other martial arts are when they just look goofy.
Yeah. Well, this is where we come on to that sort of conversation of gi and no gi, and what.
No gi. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks for coming.
Well, this is the thing. My philosophy on it always is kind of ever changing, and it will ever change, I'm sure, because I'll learn new things, I'll experience different things. But at the moment, one of my things is, I feel like no gi jiu-jitsu is almost not. I almost don't want to call it jiu-jitsu.
Right. Okay.
I want to call gi jiu-jitsu. That's Brazilian jiu-jitsu is in the gi. I know that you take the gi off and do the same stuff, but I want to call no gi jiu-jitsu submission grappling or submission wrestling or something like that. I want to separate the two.
I think that's fair.
Because then in the gi, you know, if you want to get your black belt in jiu-jitsu, you train jiu-jitsu in the gi. Yeah. And if you want to get good at submission grappling, you get good at submission grappling, and just like in wrestling. They're no belts. No. There's no belts. Are you good? Are you not good? How long have you been training for? What are your accolades? How are you doing here? You know, all of those sort of things. Right. So that would be the way I would want to take things forwards at the moment if I kind of had a choice.
That's interesting. Would you call it no gi jiu-jitsu? Is that fair? Instead of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, no gi jiu-jitsu.
I wouldn't say it's unfair to call it that. I would say that's fair. But at the moment, I would say I'd like to separate it completely and just call it submission grappling.
Yeah, I feel that. I can understand that, and I think that's fair.
A bit like ADCC, right? They can't. I mean, they're kind of starting to separate from the fact that it's kind of is submission wrestling. The rule set is geared towards it being submission wrestling in a way, submission grappling sort of thing.
I think that's fair.
I like that.
I think that's fair. So I've got 2 views on this as well. I think that's 100. I've never had anyone say that before, but listening to it just makes common sense. I can completely sort of take that on. And the other way of it is, I feel like, you know, some guys say I'm a gi guy and then I'll go in no gi. I'm a white belt no gi. That to me is not acceptable either. Like both ways. So if you're a gi specialist or a no gi specialist, and you're, let's just say black belt to make it clear, right? If you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu and you prefer no gi or you prefer gi, okay? You should not be getting turned over by someone less than a brown belt just because you've took it on or put the gi on or took it off. Do you see what I'm saying?
I definitely agree.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
that you should be like a specialist in one, but at the same time you should be able to compete in both, or you're not really the belt you say you are, in my opinion. If you're overly reliant on grips, you ain't got enough game to me to fill in the gaps. Now I'm not saying your level's going to be as high, but to me, ultimately, and this is a bad example because I said to you about wrestling stuff, my game doesn't really change gi or no gi just because of my style. Now, that's not saying that it's better than other people's or anything, but in terms of, I've just got to worry about more in the gi in terms of you gripping me, but at the same time, I can escape better in no gi because of slipper. Whatever, right? You get where I'm coming from. So, to me, you should still be able to put one on or take one off and go, I'm still at a level.
Grappling, whether it's gi or whether it's submission grappling, whether it's wrestling, whether it's any of these things really, any grappling. At the end of the day, you're wrestling a frame, right? You're fighting against the other person's frame.
100%.
And it's just physics and mechanics.
Yep.
It's mechanics of how do I move this person or control this person or do something to this person to make them, control them or tap them or whatever it is, right? And the whatever you're wearing is just a tool to do those things, right? So even gi and no gi, the concepts, the concepts of how things work, right? Like with this eco approach sort of thing, right? The concepts of how things actually work and trying to make things work differently than technically. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. You just get a different grip. You have a different hold on it, but you do the same stuff.
I agree.
And that's why I would completely agree with you.
And I think that goes broadly. Sorry to cut you off, but I think that goes broadly as well. Like you should be able to apply that against judo guys, wrestlers. Do you know what I mean? If we're grappling to the finish, to a definitive finish, and we're not taking rules out, is maybe the wrong way to put it, but you see what I'm saying? We're not bounded by the judo rules or the jiu-jitsu rules. We're just going to grapple and see what happens. You should be able to apply it to anything, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? And I tell you what's an interesting thing as well, and some of the issue I have with certain positions, it's not just gi either, by the way, it's over-specialising in sort of sport jiu-jitsu, is like most jiu-jitsu guys won't know how vulnerable they are when punches are involved. So, do you know what I'm saying? Like I do a lot of sparring with my guys. We put MMA gloves on at the end, and we do a couple of rounds of punch jitsu, if you like. Do you know what I mean? Where it's legal, you can drop it. We're not levering each other, but it's just like. But the game changes because as soon as the face is there, I can promise you, their urgency is up because there's no sitting down and chilling and gentle art and all that stuff. Exactly we got to go now, and I think that's a big vulnerability in jiu-jitsu.
I see what you're saying. And I'm going to counter this because I'm that guy in a way, in a kind of way. I'm in a kind of way, sort of not fully, but in a kind of way. But it also depends whether you call jiu-jitsu a fight or a match.
100%.
Right?
Boom.
So if you're the jiu-jitsu guy that calls jiu-jitsu a fight, and then you're playing like Della Worm or whatever it is, and you're thinking you're fighting, you're not fighting. You're playing a game of table tennis, basically, right? Is what you're doing.
100%.
Obviously, there's physical implications of injury and stuff that doesn't come with.
And it can be applied to a fight. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, and it absolutely can be. But if you want to be, like Mikey or Mikey Musumeci or Levi Leary Jones, and you want to play that bottom flexible, game, that for me is great. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. As long as it's enjoyable to watch as a sport, right? But that's got nothing to do with fighting. Nothing. For me, they're completely separate. Jiu-jitsu for MMA or fighting or whatnot is a different kettle of fish than jiu-jitsu for sport. And jiu-jitsu for sport for me is just the same as the game of, like I say, game of tennis, game of badminton, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I think an example of that is Chrome Gracie in the UFC. Did you see his last finish when he got beat against Bryce Mitchell? So basically, he pulled guard standing. Bryce Mitchell slammed him and elbowed him, and that's that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's simple as that. Yeah. It's like, that's what you get. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Now, when I say it's as simple as that, it's not as simple as that. Bryce Mitchell's got to be responsible in doing that because he could absolutely get strangled or have his arm ripped off if he's not. But he is. So, do you know what I mean? That allows him the freedom to go slam, elbow. Thank you very much. If they competed in a jiu-jitsu match, I don't think anyone in their right mind would pick Bryce Mitchell against Chrome Gracie. But listen, he beat him up in a fight, and it's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? That's one of my things that I wouldn't say it annoys me, like it keeps me up at night, but you know where you hear pure jiu-jitsu guys go, I'm fighting at the weekend, and I go, you're not, you're grappling. It's not a fight. Don't
absolutely not.
Do you know what I mean? Don't disrespect real fighters by saying you're fighting. You're not fighting.
There's crossover.
Right, of course.
You're not fighting.
Part of a fight. It's a part of a fight, and it's a big part of a fight. Maybe it could be argued the most important part of the fight as well. Yeah. But you better have your bases checked in other areas too.
I'd probably go as far as to call it a tussle. You know what I mean? You're having a
good old tussle.
You're having a tussle.
A duel. Shake hands. You ever done any catch wrestling, by the way?
Yes, I have. Yes.
You have. Where'd you do it?
Paul, my head instructor down there. He's a qualified catch wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we actually had catch wrestling classes down there.
Brilliant. So I've done a bit of catch wrestling as well. Dark Arts Combat, shout out Dark Arts Combat. But one thing but without getting into any of the thing, one thing I like if we, for anyone watching, if we're going to roll jiu-jitsu, we're going to do this.
Yeah, of course.
Catch wrestling, shake hands like a gentleman, stand back. When the first time I did that, almost brought tears to my eyes. I mean, I was like floating for the first round. I could barely grapple. I was like, this is for me. But some strange rules in that, and the reason that came to mind there is what I was saying earlier about like your grappling should be able to be applied broadly. So whether you come from catch wrestling or any other kind of art, it should be I don't know, you know the rules, I'm assuming you've done catch wrestling. No clean chokes, things like that.
50-50. It was more catch wrestling introduced into jiu-jitsu. Good, right. I never done a catch wrestling comp, for example. A
couple of classes that I did with it, like the rules are quite specific. So like in terms of chokes is the big one that noticed me. There's no clean chokes. Okay, if I'm butchering this, any catch wrestler out there, please tell me. Don't have a hissy fit. Just let me know. But from my understanding, from the people I was learning from, is no clean chokes. There's face cranks. You can do that. Okay. If I'm on your back, I can't rear naked choke you. I can turn your face and crank you to pieces and make you tap. Sort of thing. I can't choke you. Okay. So, but one of the, and again, if I've told this on here before, guys, I'm sorry, but it was like I was on somebody's back, fully on the back, got it. I'm going to rear naked choke this guy. But then as I'm doing it, I can't do that. He rolled on my back, so I've got two hooks in, I'm on his back, pin, boom.
Yeah, you lost, Damn it,
right? But I think it's good because, and this is in training. This wasn't like a big competition where I'm crying over I lost the medal. But it means nothing. It was like a Friday night somewhere, right, in a leisure centre. But it was. Do you know what I'm saying? Like little things, and I think they're so beneficial in terms of your thing because obviously, if we're in a fight to the death, I couldn't care less. You can roll on my back. I'm going to choke you a couple of seconds later anyway. But it's like, I'm going to try to. Before anyone goes, yeah, I'm defending, bro. You can't fucking choke. Shut up. But it's like, it's good to be aware for I can't go in that for whatever reason. Doesn't have to be logical. Do you know what I mean? I like that. And like, I think Ronda Rousey back in her heyday spoke about a particular fight. She got flipped, and because of her judo background, she wouldn't let her shoulders hit the mat, which she never made wouldn't have mattered.
Of course,
but she moved to a different position and got a different submission or whatever it was. I might be killing that too. But it was like, I think there's elements of it that's specific that make you all-round game better because you have to adhere by such strict rules. When you don't have to go to them rules, your game becomes free.
Yeah. Well, this is, I mean, I bring it up a second time, but this is kind of the idea of that, the ecological, you know, like this kind of like constraints-led approach of jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah. It's the idea of almost ingraining certain rules of jiu-jitsu into you. To get you to just inhibit those rules. Adopt those rules, and then when they just become natural and live, right? Like Ronda Rousey, not go into her back, and it puts you in a good stead for the match or the fight or whatever you're doing. So
And there's certain elements as well that I think can be applied across things. Like one of the things I was taught again by my wrestling coach, and I teach it a lot, is the emphasis on like, if I go for a takedown, I'm getting that takedown. There's no, I shoot in on you, and he's defended well, back to 50-50. You're on that like a dog on a bone until you get it. Do you know what I mean? Constant. And that gets you a lot. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep switching, single, double, this way, back, and it's like, eventually, you can find something. Do you know what I mean? Versus, I'm not talking about being reckless, and you will get choked on the way to learning this, don't get me wrong. There will be elements where it's like, I've got to get this take, finish, But like, I think there's something to that too, you know, that's a big, because too many people, especially in jiu-jitsu, I find, it sounds like I'm bashing jiu-jitsu, doesn't it? I love jiu-jitsu, but it's, there's too much emphasis, I think, sometimes on takedown, no, didn't get it.
I agree.
Didn't get it. No, get it!
Well, the reason for that, in my opinion, is because a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, unfortunately, especially nowadays, they don't know how to wrestle, but what they do know how to do is they do know how to teach you how to do a double leg, right? And they do know how to teach you to do a single leg. And when you practice, it's step one, do this, step two, do this, step three, do this, and then we get the takedown sort of thing, right? And the whole chain wrestling thing, it doesn't even exist. No. It doesn't exist. No. And when you do like even in jiu-jitsu, we're gonna do takedown rounds today, and we're just gonna do like almost wrestling rounds sort of thing, but But when, like you say, when one takedown fails, they don't know what to do anymore because they've never practiced going from a double leg to a single leg or from a single leg to a body lock or, you know, any of these things. So, yeah.
Have you wrestled with good wrestlers, yeah?
I've had experience wrestling with good wrestlers, yeah.
Shoot on them. What happens?
Oh,
you ain't getting a takedown. I don't know what will happen, but I'm going to tell you what won't. You won't get a takedown.
You're definitely not getting the first one.
Of course you're not. So you've got to go 2, 3, 4, 10, 17 and keep constant. You know what I mean? It's like anything. It's like passing a guard in Jiu Jitsu. You can't, like, think about it. If you're a wrestler and I'm going, okay, Jiu Jitsu, let's pass the guard. Move my knee this way. Well done, you passed the guard. You're a guard passer. Now let's spar. Coach, I ain't working. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same. But I think, like, and to me, listen, wrestlers, I've harped on about this many times. Wrestlers are the best athletes I've ever come in contact with.
I agree.
In terms of, like, it's a different thing. And I don't think, like, some of the Jiu-Jitsu guys realise that. They go, oh, I've gone with a wrestler, I'm fine. No, you ain't. You've gone with a guy who's wrestled. And he's a Jiu-Jitsu guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, go to the Eastern Bloc and grab a real wrestler and see how that feels. Because it's shocking, you know? When I first started doing wrestling with real wrestlers, it's like, the fuck is this guy? It's not even a human. It's like they found this guy somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Off a different planet. And like, everything you've ever been taught don't work. You can't move their neck. You can't grab this leg. It's like, And by the way, one thing that I really believe in is that if someone shoots on you, they must pay for it. There's not, again, it's not the stop 50-50, you didn't get me down. No. Now you're going to suffer.
Yeah, we're in this now.
Yeah, exactly. You're under me now. Now you're going to suffer properly.
We've begun.
There you go. But I could rant all day, and I probably will. We'll move on before this gets weird.
I had a great experience once, which I would love to have said changed my outlook completely on wrestling and made me a wrestler, but it didn't. But that was we had a seminar in Hastings with Saeed Esmaili. Do you know
Saeed? I know who he is. I don't know him personally yet.
Oh my goodness! I was lucky enough because I was a great uki at the time. I was the gym uki basically.
And sorry to cut in there. I've trained at Fight Zone with Josh Northcutt. Do you know this guy? I believe he's trained under him, and
I recognise that name.
He was speaking about big, hefty lump. Josh, if this finds you, mate, I'm trying to get you on it. He keeps going, I'm not interested enough. Shut up, pussy. Come sit next to me, bro. No,
I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He runs from people in the playground. No, Josh is a coach up at Fight Zone London, a wrestling coach. Great guy, always has me up there, always looks after me, and he's a brilliant coach. Not just... despite his own ability, he's really good at getting the point across. Do you know what I mean? And I believe he learned most of his wrestling under Saeed.
Fantastic fella. He came down and I was lucky enough to be the uki basically for the day.
Nice.
My goodness, I couldn't. It was like I was just shown some magic.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way he was moving me, I mean, was just like nothing I'd ever felt before, and. It was that experience. It was the biggest experience I've had where I realised that if someone wrestles and you don't, even if you're a jiu-jitsu guy that wrestles, if you don't wrestle, you don't have much of a chance at all. You're going to be done in immediately.
Well, when I was in Bulgaria, my coach stuck me with a guy, and the guy competed at 57 kilos, and I was probably 80 kilos at the time, right? I've been wrestling about a year. I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. You can't tell me nothing, right? I'm bad.
Bring it on.
We can do. I'm bad, bro. Hey, I'm bad. Yeah? So I'm on the mat strutting about like, what's this little man going to do to me? He tells me he's the bus driver. Just go and roll with him. Cool. Okay, cool. Anyway, I roll with him. This guy proceeds to if me and you just had a sweaty session, and one of us got the mop out and used it to clean the mat. I was said mop, fucking couldn't do nothing to him. Frames in here. I'm looking at him thinking, I look like, if you had a photo of us next to each other, I'd look like I could crush you. And this guy is, you know what I mean, disinfecting J-clothed me on the floor. Completely embarrassed me. And I'm sitting there, I go over after, and the coach is laughing, of course. And turns out this is not the bus driver. This is a guy who, I think he was a 2-time European champion. He was a world champion. He was bronze in some big tournament. A complete savage. So I felt a little bit better, not much, but a little bit better about myself. But the point being, he was competing at 57 kilos. He was about 40-something now, didn't wrestle anymore. Probably, as he was violating me, he's probably 60 kilos. Do you know what I mean? And I'm young, I'm on it, and had nothing for him. And I think that's missed a lot, because that level of athleticism and effortless just making you fool of you. He did things to me, almost gave me his leg and then just stepped the leg away and pushed my head down, and I'm face planted on the floor. Do you know what I mean?
How does that make any sense?
My De La Riva's not working, I don't get it.
Well, it's one of those things in it as well where, talking about wrestling and all that sort of stuff, a life lesson in a sense if you want to get deep on it. But wherever you put your tokens, that's what's going to happen, right? If you put all your tokens into wrestling, you're going to be a darn good wrestler. But if you take some of those tokens away and you go 50% wrestling, 50% jiu-jitsu, you're going to be 50% good at both, which is more than, which is not a bad thing to do. I'm not saying that, but you're not going to be the Olympic level wrestler. You're not, and you're not going to be, if you're doing 50% wrestling, 50% jiu-jitsu, you're also not going to be Levi Leary's guard. You're just not. But again, if you're someone like Levi, I know he's got great passing and but he's put so many tokens into his guard that it's a bit like going up against an Olympic level wrestler. You step into his guard, he's going to do stuff to you that you're not going to understand how it's happening or when it's happening or why it's happening. It's going to happen. And that's how it works, right? Yeah.
That's it. And I also think part of it is knowing yourself in terms of what works for you. Do you know what I mean? Danaher spoke about that, about personality should dictate and stuff. And I believe in that. I believe at a certain point, before blue belt, no, just learn everything, right? Take on whatever. But let's say you've been a blue belt for a while. We'll leave that as open-ended as that. You're comfortable at blue belt. It's like, I think it's time to start sort of specialising to a degree. Do you know what I mean? Learning how to defend everything. You're never going to learn how to defend everything, but you get where I'm coming from. But you've got your moves. Now I'm going to attack you this way.
Understand everything and specialise.
And I feel like that's the way to go, because if you look at UFC fighters in the past, high level wrestlers that are officially blue belts in jiu-jitsu.
This is it.
Like John Jones was officially a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and he was tapping black belts left and right in world title fights. Do you know what I mean? We're going to say he's not good at jiu-jitsu. He might not be if you put a gi on him. I'm sure he was, but that might be a bad example. But you get what I'm saying? If you put him on his back,
all of those guys.
Have you seen the picture of Khabib after a certain title with his white belt on?
Exactly.
Huh? Do you want a round?
Exactly.
Bad knee. I'll sit this one out. You know what I mean? Like he's grappling. I think should be. It's got to be effective. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like you touched on a good point there of learn jiu-jitsu in the gi. I never looked at it that way, but I think you're right in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like you take the gi off, now you're doing something different, which is not wrong or right, but it's it is a little bit different.
And the thing is as well, it's like to have this conversation, which is quite a controversial one really, but is this thing of like, can gi jiu-jitsu help your no-gi jiu-jitsu? And a lot of people say no, and I would agree with a lot of the people that say no, because I agree with all their reasons. However, like we said earlier, you're controlling the frame. The job is to control the frame, 100%. And sometimes there's use in doing something different to give you some habits that help you in something else, right? Swimmers, they do land training. There's a reason they do land training, it's for different reasons and stuff. But in a kind of funny kind of way, no-gi guys, they may oftentimes, in small amounts, benefit from a little bit of gi because they might learn something about how to control the frame. If I I can control the leg in this way in the gi, how can I transfer that across to no-gi? A big example, a good example is, a lot of the gi guys, the old classic gi guys, they've transitioned over to no-gi. And they've got some real good differences. Again, I talk about him a lot, it's because I've studied him a lot recently, but Levi is a gi guy. His no-gi guard is completely different to other styles, right? So the sort of, Danher's guys, the Kingsway, New Wave guys, they focus very heavily on inside position. Levi and Lachlan Giles, they focus very, very heavily on outside position, really. And that comes from the gi. That comes from the gi, that outside position and moving in different ways, it comes from the gi. And it's kind of becoming the new guard in a way, sort of thing. And there's all that, and like Kainan, for example, right? Kainan's headquarters passing. I'm sure a lot of that headquarters passing comes from his ability to, when he trains in the gi, he can sit in headquarters much easier because he's got stuff to hold on to.
And then sort of
but it transfers across to no-gi, and he understands where his weight goes and how to control the frame of the other person, because he's spent so much time there in the gi that he understands the mechanics of controlling the person's knee and their upper body and what needs to happen where. And the gi allows him to learn the mechanics because he's got all the grips. So he's got all the grips to learn the mechanics of how to control this frame. And then he just needs to transfer that across to no-gi. And obviously there's a lot of times when it's completely different and there's no transfer over and it doesn't make any sense.
But I think a lot of that's mindset in terms of if you're aware is the big fight. It's like what I said on earlier where some jiu-jitsu guys are deluded in terms of they don't realise they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And like if you're in a certain position with your legs up and someone can just go on your face, changes the game.
Yeah.
But if they're aware that can happen, I feel like a lot of that problem goes away. Because if you're waiting for it, do you know what I'm saying? It's not rocket science to finish. Whereas I feel like there's a massive benefit to training arts for art's sake. Yes. So what I mean by that is like if you let's say MMA as an example, training Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling. I'm using the obvious ones, Jiu Jitsu, blah blah blah. But there's even Jiu Jitsu for MMA. I'm not talking in the lead up to a fight in terms of you've got 6 weeks to go. I'm talking about off season, if you want to call it that. Training in the gi still makes sense because of the reasons you said. Do you know what I mean? You understand what's going on, you learn it. I like to spar in the gi. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of sort of like learning and grab the lapel and now lasso and tuck it under your bum and, you know, make this face and, you know, whatever. But do you know what I'm saying? It's like, put this accent on when you explain it. But I'm not a massive fan of that. But again, I like to spar with a tricky gi guy because where I'm mostly no gi anyway, it's like I want them to shut me down with that and then figure my way out of it. Do you know what I'm coming from?
Absolutely, yeah. That's why we train jiu-jitsu, right? It's fun, we problem solve, we have a great time, and if there were no problems, it wouldn't be fun anymore, right?
Right,
so,
exactly,
yeah.
And I got this morning, I was messing about one of the guys I was teaching, a big, strong, heavy guy, and I sort of put my head out, you know, when you're kind of like, see what he does here, and he did something, and he trapped my arm somehow in like a body triangle, and I was like, what the fuck is this guy? But it was so left field, it was like, you might actually fucking work here. I did get out of it. I'm going to say it live. I got the fuck out of it. But like, it was an issue. Do you know what I'm saying? I had to wiggle, I had to move a certain way. And like people's watching, I'm like, I can't let him get in my back here. I've got to fucking figure something out. But I think like, again, I've mentioned this a million times, but when I've done a seminar before with Gary Tonin, he said how he was getting tapped more than anyone on the mat. And it like just parking his ego, basically dangling something out, letting them have it and seeing what comes of it. And I think that's such a great way to train. Not that I do it enough, but you know what I'm saying? Like I think there's an element of that. It's like, here, take my back, let's go.
You hunt for the problems in a way, don't you? Yeah, exactly. If you're not getting put in them all the time, you have to hunt for them. And yeah, I completely get that. I personally, I've got a bit of a bad habit with that because I was so relaxed and so technical through my sort of purple brown with people. I could get away with a lot. Right. I could get away with a hell of a lot. And I used to. And as a coach as well, I used to let people get into position to work stuff and whatnot, and I could get away with it. Yeah. And when I started competing, and when I started to try and take training more seriously, that was a difficult habit to undo. Right. It was real difficult.
A habit of putting yourself in a bad spot.
Of letting things go. You know, like I'll let him get this position. Right. Like it's not worth the fight because I'll deal with that later. Like even now, for example, like I'll let people enter legs because I'll counter leg lock until you get the guy that's better at leg locks than you, or he catches you out, and then you shouldn't have let him into your legs. Right. And it's that habit of, I'll let it go. Oh no, you bloody shouldn't.
But I think you got to do both sides of it because I think it's important sometimes for me and you to go, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take my back and we'll figure from here. Absolutely, no problem. Tap me 3 times. It don't really matter. But there's also a point to go. Listen, Kyle, Kial, whatever the fuck your name is. I'm going to try and win now. Go, boom. Do you know what I'm saying? And because you need it. You need that element of no, you're not fucking having that position now. I'm going to get you. And if I don't, I tried. Do you know what I mean? Not all the time, because I think you can limit your game massively. But there is a time to go. And I did this to one of the guys I train with. I teach. He's a white belt. He's good white belt, but he's like in his own head too much, thinks too much. And one of the rounds, and again, this is not me trying to say I'm so good. That's not the angle I'm coming at. I attacked him as many times as humanly possible. In that round. And he was like, but this is ridiculous. I was like, it's not ridiculous because firstly, you're stopping me doing it the first time and you're progressing that way. But it's also important sometimes, don't think so much because you ain't got time to think. Do you know what I'm saying? And again, I don't mean to say that again like I'm some ADCC champion. I don't mean it. I'm talking about,
No, I completely agree.
I'm talking about a white belt and he's from up north, so whatever. Do you know what I mean? Tapped him anyway. But no, do you know what I'm saying? Like, and at the time, he was like, what the fuck, this is silly. And it's like, it ain't silly, because now, when someone else puts that kind of pressure on you, who's a white belt like you, you're going to fucking tap them, you know?
Absolutely,
But there you go, that's my 2 cents.
No, I agree. And going back to what you said on having a mixture of them both as well, is is, you know, they have this in, I've worked quite closely with a guy called Sam Antonin, he's a men's performance coach.
Okay.
He works with the likes of Wagner Rocha, and, you know, he works with a lot of people, he's local.
We might have to get him on the podcast.
He'd be a great.
What's his name?
Sam Antonin. I'll give you the link after.
Was he the guy that was at the Johnny?
No, he wasn't.
He
wasn't. He's away at the moment, but I'll give you the contact because he'd be a great person to have on. And we used to work a lot with, you know, differentiating the practice room and how we transfer that across to you know, the competition stage sort of thing. And that's kind of its job in a way, is taking the practice room and using it to perform at the highest levels in competition room. And it's that thing of like differentiating what you're doing when, you know, like we say, sometimes you have to play the game of, you know, start here, let them get the position to work out of it, start from bottom mount so that we can get work out and we can go into those deep waters sort of things so we're comfortable when we get there. But then when you go into, you also have to go into these, you know, full-on rounds, right? And how do you differentiate from what's going on, right? And there's all these strategies that he uses, you know, they use like having pre-comp routines that you would then start to implement into your training as well, right? If you implement your pre-comp routine into your training and you you go into the mindset of sort of like this round, even if you're in the practice room, this round is a comp round, you've switched, right? You've flipped the switch from practice, technical, you know, trying to technically appreciate sort of thing, and now you're into, this is not about the technique anymore, this is about applying all of this practice time I've just had and not giving it any inches.
Is that sort of a difference between like learning mode and winning mode? Is that
yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And it would be the same kind of thing with like off-season and in-season, like in-camp, off-camp. And there's a very heavy difference, which I think a lot of people get confused with as well, athletes that compete. A big difference between when you're training to learn and when you're training to win, right, sort of thing. And they're not the same. They're not the same at all.
They're not.
And you have to treat them as completely different things, because if you're just muddling between, if one half of the round I'm rolling with you, right, and one half of the round I'm kind of going, let's see what happens when he does this and gets into the leg lock, and I've let the sweep go, and then the second half of the round I go, right, I'm not gonna let you score. There's too much muddling going on. And then when you go into the competition stage, it's not clear cut enough. It's not clear cut enough as to when do I give the sweep? When do I concede this? When do I give him the leg? And when do I give absolutely nothing? And you need to know that when you're on the competition stage, you give absolutely not an inch. If you can help it, you give nothing. You fight to the very bitter end. And then you've got to have the training like that too, right? So,
but it's interesting as well in terms of like, I hesitate to say the word conditioning because I think it gives off the impression, I mean like strength and conditioning, you know, like heart rate monitors and fitness. I don't mean that. I mean conditioning. So like, for example, if me and you are here now after this and we just go, right, we're going to roll. We both trained hard this morning. There's no medals on the line. We could just forget the clock. Just like, okay, we'll put it on. We've got an hour. Let's just roll and play. I think there's benefit to that too. And when I relate that to conditioning, I mean, it's just conditioning your body to the point of like, you might get to my back and you might be on my, if we've got no time in it, you might be on my back for fucking 17 minutes if you don't tap me. Do you know what I mean? And I've got to fucking deal with that. And I've got to move this way. Oh, don't go there. My knee feels a bit funny. Don't do this one, etc. But it's just almost like a swimmer going in the swimming pool and just swimming laps. Do you see what I mean? I think there's an element of that that gets overlooked a little bit.
100%,
and you've got to have a good training partner to do that. And what I mean by that is like, it's no good doing it with someone where it's so lopsided in terms of you're way better than them or vice versa. Because there's got to be a give and a take. Do you see where I'm coming from? And I think there's so much nuance in it. Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes you need to go and find yourself a lippy white belt and just go, come on. I feel like riding you today for a bit. You sit down there, shut up. How long we doing? Shut up. But jokes aside, I think there's an element of like, we're going for a run. Do you know what I mean? Let's just run. Do you know what I mean? We're going to plod. We're going to do a smack all over you. But do you know what I mean? We're going to plod along and we're going to do our thing. I think that could be applied too. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. I know 100% agree. It's that, and alongside that, a lot of times with this training, like you say, it's great to have this sort of training where you're just with one other person, and there's no time, and you're working. Maybe you're working positional, maybe you're rolling, and you just pause and you just go, what happened there? And you chat about what happened. What was that? How did that happen? Oh, have you seen this thing? Have you seen that thing? Oh, cool, nice. Slap bump. We continue. We keep going again, and you're literally just kind of like exploring, aren't you? You're just exploring the map of jiu-jitsu.
And that's when you need a good training partner, because I need the freedom to be able to dangle my leg and see what you do and know you're not going to fucking rip my knee off. Do you know what I mean? Because they're out there too. I've had people like you roll with, and they're all like, you're fine and flowing, and as soon as they get something, they're on it. Whoa, fucking hell, hang on, what the fuck is that? Oh, sorry, bro. Like, you ain't sorry, are you? You're a fucking idiot. You're trying to tap me, you dumb fuck, you know? You know who you are, by the way. Hey, you paid for it. You know you fucking are, and I hope your rib still hurts. No, I'm joking.
No,
kind of joking, isn't
it? It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yes, especially when you're in new places, man. It's so hard, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the trouble I've had with moving around a lot. Now I've moved from Hastings up to London and around and stuff. Is, you know, I've moved 4 times in the last two and a half years.
You're the gym whore. You're that guy. You're the gym whore.
Well, I've moved for not even jiu-jitsu reasons.
Oh no.
Like when I say I've moved, I mean I've moved home, not moved gym. I've moved entire location. I went from Hastings to Canary Wharf, where I was training with Max Beckenham, Max Beckenham Grapple Collective, and
You said London Grapple though, bro.
Ross Nichols.
You said London Grapple with Max Bigton. You got no respect.
You got
no respect. You got no respect.
Well, I was doing both.
You got no respect.
What do they call it? I can't remember what they call it now. It's fine. I was training with Ross Nichols in London Grapple as well. I was doing a bit of both.
Nice.
And then I moved out to Maidstone area. For a while. I got out Canary Wharf. I was literally only there for 6 months. And I was training with Adam Watts at 40 Licks, and those guys, they were great guys out there. And then these guys called me, and I've come in here, and it's kind of, you know, I've been trying to train all over the place. I've trained at Mandela up here recently and stuff. And
nice.
Those guys are cool as well. And it's that thing of you walk into a room, as someone who's trained, you know, you walk into a room and you go, right, I've got to try and find a balance here between, you know, finding a good training partner who I can train with, but actually still getting a good little session in myself, sort of thing, and that can be quite tricky, can't it? So,
yeah, it can. But I think, do you know what? And I know, like, I think sometimes it's good to just go and just roll, right? Of course, just roll and sort of come what may. And also, you don't have to be a dick about it, you know? It's the certain situations, like if me and you know each other and we train a lot together, and I'm on your back, and I ain't really got your neck, I might just give that extra fucking. Does this work? Whereas if you drop in somewhere, it might not be the best option to prank someone's face. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I think gyms. I don't think it's on you. I think it's more on the gym. Like,
that's what
because some gyms are just dicky anyway, and they're dying out. Like, I'll give you an example. I don't know if we spoke about this before. I go to 10th Planet on a Saturday. Up there, and them guys couldn't be more like welcoming than just whatever. I could wear whatever rash guard I want. It could be a different. They don't give a fuck. They're like, what? Just what? Yeah, come on, let's roll. It's one of them, and I think that's how it should be for the most part. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm a believer in loyalty too. So in terms of like, you shouldn't just like, oh, they've offered me a better deal, I'll go over there. But now they've offered, you're that guy. That's different. But like, I think you should be able to train everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like within reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you should be able to go to places and just go. And like, I mentioned 10th Planet because I'm not there regular, but like, there's a lot of places that are like that.
But this is what happened like when I went up to Mandela the other week, actually. Let's say this, for example. It was a gi open mat, right? It was a gi open mat, which I was already a bit pissed off about.
I was going to say, don't sound very open to me. What kind of place is that?
Well, I brought my gi with me because I wasn't sure, but then everyone was wearing gi, right? And there I am. I've got basically like a new, at the time it was basically pretty much brand new. I bought it earlier this year, barely worn it, white, pure pearl white King's gi, right? And I've got my belt on, and my belt's got Coach Kial on it, right? and I go walk into this room of people that don't know me, and I've just got this feeling that everyone's going like, who's this geezer?
Did you introduce yourself as Coach? Hi, Coach Kial.
Yeah, exactly. Professor will be fine.
Yeah, Professor. If I bow, you bow lower than me. Okay, go.
Yeah, but that was one of those times where I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to play out, because obviously I've kind of walked in, and it's kind of like, you know, like, black belt, pearl gi, like how are people gonna react? How is the gym gonna react? And obviously they were fucking great. They were super nice.
You're doing the mystical black belt warm up in the corner. You know the one where you don't run around the match. You stand in the corner. And you go. Like I'm not saying I'm better than you, but I'm better than you. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. As you were.
Yeah. And then obviously I agree with you. The onus is on kind of me as well, which you know I did. You know when you start rolling with these people, you can't go in with the idea of showing what you can do. You've got to go in with the idea of, look, I'm here to have a good time, because otherwise you're going to be a dick, right? You're going to know you're a dick and stuff. So, yeah. And then, like I had it when I first moved up to London. You go to like, you know, London Grapple Collective. You have to kind of warm into the place, don't you? Warm into it, get to know the people, and then you, like you say, you find someone you trust, and then you have your first ball to the wall sort of tussle. we'll call it that, and then you're in, sort of thing. So
yeah. And I thought you was going to say find yourself a nice white belt and strangle.
Yeah, well that's it. Sometimes you've got to find a victim.
Exactly. Today, I'll tell you another one I've experienced too. You know when you've had like hard rounds on mats, and like there's guys that are sort of walking around, and you go round, and they go. I'm tired, I'm going to rest. Fair enough, but then you start rolling and they're rolling with the white belt.
Start rolling, yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
Oh, you're that coward. You're the coward guy. I've got no problem if you're done. You're done. Like, we've all done that, right? You're all, sometimes it's over. You ain't got to just roll with everyone, but you turn someone down and you went with someone else. Yeah. Okay, bro.
Sometimes when that happens, you've got to turn and look at yourself and go,
I'm bad.
Am I? I'm bad.
I'm bad.
Well, you're like, am I? When I roll with him, am I a bit too hard on him?
And then, what, mate, am I too hard on him? Yes, I am. Yeah, you're damn right I am.
Next one.
Well, you know, when I'm teaching sometimes, and the guys in Brixton this morning know this, I put music that might not be on for, you know, I'm talking, you know, you go like your Rick Astley, Tina Turner, Celine Dion. Yeah, that's what we're rolling to. Like it or don't. You know what I mean? We can do. That's what's going on because I've got some guys over there that put the music on. Yeah. They're off music duty. Hey, none of that headbanging shit. What the fuck? Hey, this ain't an acid club. Like, let's chill out. Let's everyone chill out, huh? Everybody chill. Everyone rolling. But but going forward, mate, you said you've done like, you said a bit about you competing and stuff like that. You're still really young, 25. Have you got ambitions to compete still?
Yes, I mean, I have got ambitions to compete again. I do want to compete again because I think over the last, since I last competed on a show in 2023, that was, before I got my black belt. That was on Alpha Grappling Show.
So coming up 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it is coming up 3 years ago now. Blimey, that is crazy, man. Yeah, because when I moved up to London, I just focused on training. Right. I realised that the level was different, and I just thought I need to train.
The level's different which way?
Oh, in terms of, it was so much higher.
High here, right.
Obviously, that was why I moved up here.
Oh, I see.
I moved up here to try and find.
I was
already doing a bit with London Grapple, and I was like, I need to get in there more.
I thought you was going to go like Hastings massive. And you can't fuck with us.
I need to get out of here.
You can't fuck with it. You can't. South Coast is where it's at. You know what I mean? Hey.
But obviously, I've changed a lot in the last. I mean, I've changed a lot in the last 3 years. Let's put it like that. Since I last competed, I've changed a lot, and I wouldn't even. I've changed a lot Jiu Jitsu wise in terms of I've trained with different people. I've managed to train, in London with great people, and in Maidstone and that area with great people and whatnot. But I think I've changed as a person a bit more, and I've got a bit more of a hard stern in me now, sort of thing. Before I was a bit floppy. I was a bit of a pushover. I just kind of enjoyed. I was around and about. People took advantage of me in different ways, and now I've grown into a bit of a man. I think I'm getting there anyway. I'm getting there. And
I was going to ask you your pronouns, but go on.
No, but and I feel like that in itself would have more of an impact on how I compete than the training I've done. And I feel like I would go. Because it happens in training as well now. Like when I don't want to give something, I'm better at being a bit more of a stickler. I can be a bit meaner now, and not feel bad about it. Sort of thing. Even though I'm still being nice, I'm not being too nice like I was before. Right. And I feel like that would carry quite well into competition. And what I need to do now, in order to compete, is I need to get into a good habit of training regularly, so that I can go on to the competition stage, going. I've done what I need to do.
And how much do you weigh now?
So now I'm sitting at 70.
And you'd compete at what? What weight would you go for?
When I've wanted to compete, I've wanted to get up to 77 for ADCC.
Right, okay.
That's what I've wanted to get, but I can't fucking get there.
Is that right?
I got up there in lockdown when I was just eating and lifting. Right. That was all I was doing, but I've never been there since. So I don't really know, and to be honest, I don't think I'd particularly focus too much on it. I'd probably just focus on the training and then enter the division that I need to enter into. I wouldn't do a weight cut. I'm always trying to gain a bit of weight. That's continuous. If I get to the top of the bracket, great. If I don't, that's fine. And then I need to ease myself in a bit. I'll probably go with the Grappling Industries, get a load of rounds in, see how I feel, and then look to hit up, Cocholinas and different shows and stuff like that in the UK and whatnot, and see if I can get on those again. I'd love to do that, but I've got no qualms about I'm going to be an ADCC champion. Okay. I'm not worried about that. That's not my goal. I want to compete for fun. I want to compete for experience. I want to compete as a coach, so that then I can be the coach that goes, look, this is how things work. This is how I do things. This is my experience. this is what you need to be like, you know, all of those things, I've got it to give to other people. And if it goes really well, you know, and I manage to, you know, fight some good guys and whatnot, that's fun. And I'll carry that with me, and that's great. But all experience for me, man. I'm not worried about bringing home, you know, too much money or anything like that. I just want to have fun with it. So yeah, that's
you don't want to be champion. You don't want money. Jesus Christ, you're like a hippie's dream over there.
Well, not from competing. I'm not worried about getting to a point where like, oh man, I need to like, I have to win this tournament for £10,000. Like, that's just never going to be me.
Right.
It's never going to be me. I remember the first time I was on Alpha, I fought Ash Williams. It was my first ever show. Oof. First ever show, I fought Ashley Williams.
Welcome to the big time.
And it was a three rounds. The first round I went in, he tapped me in 20 seconds with a footlock. The light, honestly, the lights, it was everything. I was in the cage, it was in the dungeon, they called it. I was in this cage. And I was like, the lights, so I was way out of my depth. I was like, what the fuck is going on? We slapped hands, and it was all a blur, and he tapped me in the first round, 20 seconds. I went back to the corner and was like, what happened? And then the second round was a bit longer. The second round was probably about 2 or 3 minutes, caught me with the Kimura, and then that was the match. Right. That was the first time, and I got paid £100 for that. Oh, wow. And I was like, oh yeah, all right. But I mean, you've got to want it, haven't you? All these kids nowadays, they're so hungry for it. I'm not that kid.
Well, we'll sit here again in 2 years. Yeah. You're gonna have sunglasses on and be like, I'm all about the money, man. I'm all about the money. You know what I mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely like. I want to have a successful school one day, and it's not like I'd say no to the money, but I'm definitely going to do it in different ways, I reckon. So yeah.
Boom, mate. Listen, this has been brilliant. I really appreciate your time. This has been a good one. We'll definitely do this again at some point for sure, and I'll come down and get some rounds in and stuff like that. We filmed a bit where you let me get you back and I choke you.
We'll do that. Yeah.
We won't tell no one it's drilling.
As long as the money's good, I'm happy.
Show me the money. But I always finish, mate, with the most important question of the day. I've got high hopes with where you're from. I know it's not quite in the region, but most people that way. Yeah, some of my friends will say the right answer. Which football team you support?
I'm going to give you a bad answer, mate. A really bad answer.
How bad?
Real bad.
I know.
Really bad. I'm going to do it, mate.
Don't do it.
I don't support football teams.
Chelsea, very good. Well done, my man. See, hey, all's well that ends well. I thought you were going to go Liverpool or Tottenham. I was going to go, I fucking had it. But mate, listen, as I say, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I always finish with a fist up like this. Hey. Squeeze the neck.
Squeeze the neck. Boom.